right, greetings all. Welcome to the One Night Your podcast. We are in the building. It's been a minute. Right, Stan?
Yes,
mic check.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, we are here. Share. Let a friend know. Let another friend know. Let another friend know. So y'all know what tomorrow is, July 4th. I hope our people are celebrating and having picnics and so forth. I hope you take time to think about your ancestors and think about the people that have lost their lives due to police violence. For real. Right, Stan?
Yep.
Not just about a cookout.
Yeah, our country's in serious trouble right now, so it's definitely not just about a cookout.
Nope.
For sure.
I'm going to put in the chat Frederick Douglass speech. You know, this is not his holiday. It's not our holiday.
Right. Definitely not mine.
You gotta know. Share. How's it looking, Stan?
Looking good.
Looking good? Let me share Karen, got a few people in the room. Hey, Kim, thank you for joining. Sorry for our tardiness, but we are here. Just before we get out the gate, while we're doing the preliminaries and letting it run through, I'll let you know that our guest that was scheduled to come had a family emergency. We're going to bring her on next week. She felt bad that the information was out, but I was like, no, family first.
That's right.
Check your volume. Turn your phone down. All the way down?
Yes, down.
Okay. All right. 1 2 1 2. We are here. All right, Sandra Coleman, and what's your name, sir?
I'm Stan Morse.
Stan Morse.
Stan
Okay,
Morse in the
we're on the
house.
1s and 2s today. And Money Mike is in the room. He's going to leave in a little bit, but he's in the room. He can help get us set up. Our engineer. Money Mike, yell. Say something.
Yeah, you know I'm always.
Peek your head in behind Stan so people can see you. Peek your head and let them know you're in the building. We're not playing. They can see you.
No, they can't see you
Not
yet.
yet. There you go. There go Money
All right.
Mike. Yeah. Let him live. Gotta let him know he here. We don't be
Yes.
playing. So anyway, welcome all. Greetings to the One Night Your podcast. We are back. We went a little hiatus. A whole lot of things between health. I was campaigning, but that wasn't one of the reasons, but little health and different things. Little things was happening.
Sure.
So times we just couldn't get together and get in. But that's why we're kicking off season 5 today.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Season 5. But like I said, once again, our guest, Vanessa from Harlem River Houses, will not be with us today, but next week we'll bring her back on. So we'll shoot out the same flyer, just change the date. Make sure I change the date, Stan.
Absolutely.
Those errors happen. But so let me go on to my weeks a little bit, and then Stan will go on to his weeks, and then we just gonna just
Talk
vibe
about
off
it.
each other, and spend this hour with you all. So as many know, I was running a race, so I didn't win the election for Democratic State Committee Woman for the 68th Assembly District. But all in all, I had a blast. It was an amazing time campaigning. I gained a lot of knowledge, and I'm grateful to God for the courage to even run.
Yes.
Just jumping into a campaign and running a campaign, it's not easy, but I'm glad that I did do it. I have experience. I'm much wiser now. I learned a lot along the way, and I'll be back.
Well,
I'll be back.
that's right.
I want to shout out my financial supporters. Thank you. Supporters that labored and those who kept me lifted in prayer. To say thank you. My team was small, but that's still no excuse. Like I said, I ran a positive campaign, so I'm happy about that. There was some negativities from being threatened at an early voting site on Juneteenth from an opponent, telling someone, this was me, telling me that I was lucky to be there was crazy. To be over there was crazy. So that's a street code, like a threat.
Right.
You're lucky to be over here. So, but that's fine. And then I had a lady in my building that was down with one of the opponents too. And she was just, she was crazy, really like off the hook. was in my face on election day,
Wow.
hand in my face, literally like this. And all I could say is through the grace of God, I kept still. I said, as long as you don't touch me. It was a lot of profanity she said to me.
Wow.
She told me to die.
Wow.
She told me to die several times. So, I don't know what all that is about. But all I can say is you got to pray for people.
Yeah.
You got to pray for people
Yeah.
because it's not that serious. It's not that serious. And that individual's on my paperwork as well, when they file a objection.
Right.
So it's like, okay. So I think people feel empowered when they team up or they got to gang up. And it's not even about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, I did reach out to one. And we had a nice little conversation, and and I said it in my post, I would reach out to the winner, the incumbent. So shout out to that person. So with that said, let me just jump on. Back to the campaign. I ran on my merit. So also there was a lot of negativity. When I say negativity, they was ripping the posters down.
Wow.
And when you run a campaign, you pay for these posters. They go through to a printer, and you pick up your stuff and. I was seeing my stuff getting ripped off right across the street in my store, one of my stores.
Wow.
I put 4 posters up, and it was at the point that you could see that they ripped it because some of it was still left with the tape, and that was just pure evil.
Wow.
So, but kind of figure out who it was, but it's okay. If that's what people got to do in campaigns, then I feel sorry for them. Especially if you're not running and you getting involved, that's one thing. And then
Right.
even if you're running and saying all this negativity or being, really ratchet with people, that's a problem too. But with that said, it is what it is. We reap what we sow. That's all
Yeah,
I'll say.
yeah.
We reap what we sow. So I'm going to jump into June 18th. The Holmes Isaac Coalition hosted our mobile monthly pantry. And then at 2:30, we celebrated our high school graduates with pizza, cupcakes, and gift cards. Thankfully to some
Great.
generous donors from the faith-based partners that we have. Then I'm zipping on to, as many heard, a 20-year-old young lady was pushing her stroller
Right.
on the Upper East Side, 95th between 3rd and Lex, with her 3-month-old daughter and was shot in the head.
Yeah.
Her name was Asia Johnson. Sadly, she died. As per public reports, it was domestic, and the daughter's father was
Right.
arrested.
I saw that child.
So that was very tragic. The next day, Julie Menon, City Council member of District 5, held a vigil at the site at 8:30. I was humbled and honored to lead the moment of silence and the opening prayer. And then people was texting me and calling me, telling me they seen me. I seen you on the news. You standing right by the mayor. And, he came. The mother was there.
Right.
And, it happened to be a space I was in. But I had already spoke already and prayed. But it was a nice turnout, and they released some balloons.
Yeah.
Very supportive from the community and beyond. We were singing out there because they were singing, this little light of mine, and I had to help kick it up a little notch because it was like, it wasn't where it needed to be. The men
Right,
was singing it a little
right.
bit, so I had to go, oh, this little light of mine. I had to bring the
Okay.
church up in there.
Okay.
And they was like, ooh, and then another lady joined in, and we had a little church out there. So,
Okay.
but please keep that family in prayer. Please keep anybody that's experiencing domestic violence. I am a survivor of a few relationships. I have a dent in my forehead. I think you see it. Can you see it, Stan, when I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's inside, outside stitches. That was when I
Wow.
was 17. I was engaged to a guy, and so it happens, and I tell people, with domestic violence, there's the outcomes can be, you can get out, your life is never the same. Wind up going to jail, either you or them, or
Right.
you could be dead.
Right.
So the outcomes are not always, but you got to get out if you can or when you
Right.
can, and just help. If you know somebody that's going through that, just be there for them the best you can. I remember I was living in McKinley houses. I had a neighbor who used to say, who was on the second floor, and she said, "When I bang on the wall, call the cops." I
Right,
was
wow.
young. I was young, but she was like, when I bang on, it was to my bedroom. She said, when I bang on the wall, call the cops. So every time she banged on the wall. But what if I wasn't home?
Right.
You know, what if we
Right.
wasn't home? Sometimes we were in Florida and this and that. But she's like, when we bang on the wall, and that was a code to call the cops
That's
because,
a
you know, he was
shame.
beating on her.
That's a shame.
And, you know, it's just, yeah, it's really bad. And we need to work on, you know, because domestic is not just men. It's sometimes women are doing
Sure,
it as well.
sure.
We have to work on people and help them, you know, conflict resolution, you know, give them some options because it's not hands and there's the verbal abuse is something else
Sure,
too.
sure.
You know, a lot of people think that the physical is one thing and those scars heal, but the verbal abuse can be sometimes even worse.
Right,
You know.
right.
But yeah, so, you know, for those survivors, my sister survivors, my brother survivors, I salute you and, you know, share your stories and, you know, don't be ashamed of it because there's nothing to be ashamed about.
Right.
And, you know, try to help, you know, each other. And hopefully the Social Justice Committee or Committee 48 will probably be doing something, if not this month, maybe down the road on domestic violence. But we need to try to get a speaker or something like that and, you know, bring up some things and share it. Because that's something that's not talked about. You know,
Right.
they set aside a month sometimes. I think it might be October as well as I know it's breast cancer month as well. But I think it's a month they set aside for that too. But you know, we need more than a month.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
even with cancer awareness, right? We need more than a month. So the rest of my weeks was, you know, busy helping my direct community and beyond campaigning, like I said, which is over, and helping residents throughout the city get much needed repairs in their homes. A positive update: there was a NYCHA plasterer helper who was working in one of my neighbor's apartments that I helped get some repairs. She knew I had got her to help, and she approached me for help. So I did my thing, and I also connected her with Stan to
Right.
help her get a letter of complaint with Just Fix
Sure,
NYC.
sure. Mhm.
So that was done, and my advocacy was taking place as well. And then at the city council hearing, you testified, and I was physically
Sure,
there.
sure.
I ran into, I was in chambers. I ran into Brad. I could put his last name up later from the compliance unit. He knows me from our HP Action lawsuit and many walkthroughs we did throughout this, the complex for Isaac and Holmes. So he approached me and we were talking, and I pulled out the pictures from her apartment.
Right.
And I was like, look at this. Like, wow, where's that? And I said, Boulevard houses, but it's a new RAD conversion. He
Right,
said,
right,
yeah,
right.
but it's new, but we're still obligated. And the greatest news is they relocated her. So
Okay. All right.
I'm happy
All
about
right.
that.
That's good. Good work.
That's
Good
good
work.
advocacy. And this is what we do, you know, as people, as public health and advocates and organized. So Stan, jump in. You got some things to talk about. Come on,
Well,
let's go.
I guess the big news, I guess, is I'm no longer with Justice for All Coalition.
Okay.
I was there for 5 years.
Okay, well.
And definitely was proud of the work that we've done,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and a lot more needs to still be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I will still be active. It gives me more time now to work with One NYCHA.
Okay.
And do that organizing work under this platform.
Right.
And I think in the end of the day, it'll be a blessing because now we can do more.
Under
you
the
know,
One NYCHA,
Under the One
right, under
NYCHA,
One NYCHA, right, yeah.
umbrella. Where we just won't have on the podcast. We actually gonna start having meetings in the
Organizing
community
and
and
stuff,
organizing and doing some of the same work. So nothing will change in that regard. I'm still on the board of Just Fix. You know,
Okay.
so I believe the Just Fix will be partnering with us.
Okay.
To do some events. I also reached out to PSL.
Okay.
Which I know you're familiar with a lot of folks from PSL, and they want to work with us as well.
What PSL is.
Party for Social Liberation. Right, so they're gonna help us out with the groundwork and doing some door knocking, and they
Okay.
really want to get involved. So I think we're gonna really expand. You know, and I know we're gonna expand and really do some things for our community that I may not have been able to do under Justice for All. You know,
Right.
so I'm looking forward to that.
You be your own boss in a sense, because
Yeah.
we'll be working together, right? So you
Absolutely,
know, just do
absolutely,
good
absolutely
work,
right. It's
yeah.
gonna, a lot
Your
of
own
great work's
boss.
going to continue. That's that. Also, it appears I'm going to have access to our beloved mayor, you know,
Okay.
to bring issues of NYCHA, you know, directly to him. I've been appointed, I guess, to a roundtable
Okay.
of folks to bring issues to him. It'll be NYCHA issues, homelessness, and a variety of things.
Okay.
And you know, so just to be clear, you know, I am definitely opposed to the mayor's policies.
Okay.
He has voted and is for the blueprint and RAD. You know, he's made that clear. You know, so you know, I'm going to make it clear that you know I'm strongly against all of that. I believe in some sense, you know, a lot of these developers. You know, I'm not going to say he's in their pocket, You know, but these policies are really, you know, driven by developers, you know,
Right.
and such, you know. So I would be a dissenting voice, you know, in that room.
Okay,
And,
now.
let's see how long I'm in the room, you know, depending on.
Don't count yourself
well,
out,
we'll see,
you know.
you know, but you know,
Dog paddle in there.
yeah,
Dog
well,
paddle
well,
in there. You
but
know.
I want to bring it. I want to bring it the way it needs to be
Yeah,
brought. You know,
yeah.
and hopefully there be some listening ears, and it is not just something where you bring some people in,
Right.
you hear them talk, you know, and then you dismiss
Right.
whatever they say and go do what you're
Right.
gonna do anyway.
Yeah,
So
you
I'm
gotta
hoping
see.
it's not that. You know, I'm hoping it's not a way to co-opt some folks. You know,
Mm.
bring them in. You know, a lot of times people look at these elected officials like they're celebrities. They're really
Right.
not.
They're
They work for
gods,
us,
they're
right? They're
gods,
gods.
they
They
worship.
they work for us. You know, so you know, it's nothing to be enamored about or anything like that. It's just an opportunity to say, you know, there's some things that, you know, y'all might be getting wrong, you know, and hear from people who are deeply impacted by it, who could tell you directly.
Right.
You know, like when you talk about the homelessness, I was homeless, you know, so I could
That
speak to
lived
that.
experience,
You know,
yeah.
you talk about NYCHA, I lived in NYCHA, so I can speak to that. And
Organize.
and,
Right,
and heard from NYCHA residents.
housing. It's
Right,
housing,
right,
social
right,
housing,
right,
yes,
right.
it's
So
good.
hopefully you can bring all these elements together and bring a message to him that he needs to change, you know, and do some things a little bit different, you know.
Have some
So
more affordable housing.
yes, I'm totally against how the affordable housing is being done currently right now.
AMI.
Right, exactly.
Area medium income.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Bring all that stuff because it's
Exactly,
hard.
exactly,
It's hard for people
exactly.
to live in the city.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's getting worse and worse and worse. You know, you see now a lot of folks are having to move to Jersey now. You know, it's just horrible.
Connecticut,
And Connecticut and commuting.
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's really tough out
They
here.
getting out, yeah.
It's tough out here.
Okay.
But we got a lot of fight, a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of work to do. I know. I said the last show, the mayor did sell us out. So did the city council. They voted and they supported the blueprint. You know, so now we can talk a little bit about that. And you can share your thoughts on it. I know it's a pilot program, but let folks know a little bit about where things stand with the blueprint and what we need to do as a movement to defeat it.
We have to continue to organize. We have to continue to partner with one another. You know, no one person can get it done. And it's okay that there's different entities that are fighting, you know, and if we come together or we don't, it doesn't matter. Keep the fight going. To my understanding, because when Greg Russ came to one of our meetings, when it does take place, it's still going to take 2 years.
Right.
This is what he said. Now, I'm saying what he said. And 2 years is out, like way out. So you figure this mayor's going into his first year.
Right.
2 more years, you know, within 2 years, that's going to be almost 3 years. Right?
Right,
So then
yeah.
there's going to be another campaign happening.
Right, right.
So he's most likely going to be running for re-election. And hopefully we could find someone that's going to raise up and run against him.
Right.
That can take him down. Donnelly. How you say his name?
Donnelly, yeah,
Donnelly.
yeah.
Donnelly. No, I'm calling you out. But no, we need a good candidate that we can get behind, that we know that's not going to, you know, sell us out, that's going to do right by the people. You know, NYCHA, affordable housing, you name it, like, you know, this unhoused crisis. But yeah, so it's a small portion.
Right.
That, you know, because that's how they got to get it started. So it's like a pilot program.
Right.
I don't know if they're wording it in that manner, but it gives you
Yeah,
the
right.
ideology of a pilot program. And, you know, for something that's going to take place and take 2 years to really happen, it means they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Because
right.
if you're going to implement something, it should be out the gate and you're getting it done.
Right.
But I would say just continue to organize, continue to let your voice be heard, you know, continue to tweet, continue to use your social media platforms because that's very important. And, you know, when you see that there's an action, a protest, a rally, show up. You know, everybody doesn't get to speak.
Right.
You know, and I get that because we'll be there all day. Because I facilitated press conferences, you know, and we've called you out and you wasn't even on the roster with certain things when we did town halls and different things. But with that said, it doesn't matter if you're not going to be like in the forefront, but still show up because those numbers matter.
Right.
The optics matter. It shows, you know, if you look at the public advocates, I know I'm staring away. If you look at some of his press conferences he's done, not even when he was running or when he was kind of running a little bit before, like, you know, this is work.
Sure.
It was nobody there. And that man can fill steps.
Right.
So the optics is just really weird when when you have a elected official with nobody really standing with him,
Right.
but 2 or 3 or 5 people, that looks bad.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So for us, we have public housing residents, like myself. We have former public housing residents and activists and organizers like Stan. We have our private, what they call it, people that live in private housing.
Sure.
You know, our allies. So we need to just show up and show out and support one another, educate one another, stay on your elected officials. You know what I'm saying? Because just because it's going to take 2 years and it was signed, anything can happen.
Right.
Anything
Right.
can happen.
Right.
It could be
Right.
resolved.
Right.
You know, it could be over. Maybe, you know, so let's just keep the fight going.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things I know we're working or focus on here is going to those RAD converted developments and saying, okay, you're going to go to the blueprint, and they're promising that it's going to be so much better, and they're promising that the repairs are going to be great. But we already have the evidence, you know, based on what we see in RAD, for those developments that have been converted, that the work isn't better. You know, the work is in some cases worse.
Yeah.
And the management in some cases is worse than NYCHA, you know. So I think we got a big job to do to expose that, to say, okay, this is really what's happening right now. You know, so if that's happening with RAD, why do we think it's going to be different with the blueprint? You know, why would they suddenly make something better than what they're doing now? You know, so we got to expose it. And I'm just urging every NYCHA resident at this who's listening to this call,
Right.
Get involved. If you have issues with your apartment, reach out to us. What's the email address?
onenYCHA@gmail.com. So that's ONE NYCHA NYCHA
Right.
at gmail.com. So you could email us or DM us on our social media platforms. We're out there. We're on Facebook, like you're watching now. We're on IG and which is Instagram, if those don't know that acronym. And we're on Twitter. So you could always DM us and reach out to us, but we're here to help. And, you know, you can put in the comments. We're here to help.
Right, right.
That's, we're going to be present and just, you know, help people throughout the city. So it's no borough we won't go to.
Right.
'Cause you've been
Absolutely.
in Staten Island too, so
Right.
there's no borough we won't go to.
Absolutely.
I couldn't go that day with Lisa, but it's no borough we won't go to, so we there.
Right. So if you're having repair issues, what we can do for you is first submit a letter of complaint, you know, which you go to your manager's office and actually outlines the repair issues that you're having.
Right.
Secondly, then go down to the manager's office, you know, and we know there's a lot of disrespect when you go down there, you know, so if you go, you gotta be prepared for that, you know, but that's a secondary step to add pressure to see if they're gonna do the work. And then if they don't, you have the right to sue them. I suggest everybody, if you have a repair issue, take them to court, you know, and flood the courts, you know, especially those who live in these RAD converted buildings, because it's important now that we share that story and let people know that, no, this is how, it's not better.
Right.
You know, this is the narrative they're telling you is really not the truth, you know, so it's critical. If you have issues, you live in a RAD converted building, please reach out to us. We need your stories. We have to show people exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and we'll have Vanessa on next week, hopefully, and she can tell you for someone going through a RAD conversion. But also one other thing we offer is I actually will send out emails, and the emails actually.
Right, absolutely, sure. We get the elected officials involved. I send Greg Ruskis emails, you know, and so we just got to let our voices be heard. You know, this is the time more so now than ever, you know, because if we remain quiet, that allows these elected officials to do what they're doing. They're saying, well, they're not making enough noise, you know, and so therefore I'm going to vote against the best wish, the issues, what people really want, which is what they really did. They actually voted against what NYCHA residents want, you know, and so you need to know who your city
it didn't
council
matter.
is. Right, they dismissed us.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's a shame,
we gotta get back. We gotta know who they are, know who your city council person is, know who your assembly person is, know who your state senator is. You have to know who each and every one of these people, Congress, all of it,
district leaders, all of that,
and find out how they voted. You
the
know,
community board too, because
Right,
that's
exactly.
where a lot of stuff takes place. At the community
absolutely,
board,
absolutely.
Show up at your housing, you know, your housing committee meetings, and you know, let your voice be heard, and show up at the full board meeting if something was passed. Take care, Mike. If something was passed, let your voice be heard. You know, during the the public session. You know, that's a lot of people don't realize that the community board is a resource for everyone. Whether you are on it, I am on the board, but whether you are not on it, you know, those sessions are taped.
Sure.
They're on YouTube and they're archived. So with that said, hopefully all boards do that. But there's a public session, especially at the full board meeting, and normally you get 2 minutes. I think it used to say 3, but it's 2 for us, for my board. But you get 2 minutes is a lot. You can say a lot.
Right, sure,
And
sure.
you go on record. So let your voice be heard at the community boards meetings, because it's it's governed by a government agency. So, it's important, and your borough presidents are responsible for the community boards. But, when resolutions are done, your elected officials, the mayor gets a copy, everybody that's in that particular district of that board is CC'd in it as elected official. So that's important. So there's so many ways to let your voice be heard. And you could also reach out to your community board with issues. They help
Right.
resolve issues too.
Right.
I won't divulge my source with how I do my emails, but when the email does come back out, Greg Russ is CC'd in it, but I send it directly to one person and things get done. So, but then when I see the response, his response, I don't say it's a guy, his response, then it comes out with Greg Russ and a few others, but work gets done. So I'm excited that we have that anchor in our platform to help residents get repairs.
Absolutely.
And call your compliance unit, people. That was put in place by the federal monitorship. That unit is pretty responsive, and they do good work. They do come out and look at things and see and assess, and they do sit and talk with management.
Right.
But one of the things is, let's talk about management. Let's talk about NYCHA management. Can we shift a little bit?
Sure.
So, and then I want to go into the chat, because we have several people here that said some comments after we get off the management. I can speak from what I've seen in campaigning, but I won't. I'll speak about where I live at.
Right.
So I live at Isaac Houses. I used to live in Holmes Towers. And we share the same campus. We have the same property manager, Ada George. Same property manager. It is no way that Isaac Houses has certain things, especially the way the grounds are, and Holmes is different.
So there's disparity. Wow.
Even from the way that we are treating rats on the grounds. It's totally different the way it's done at Isaac's. Everybody has traps. I
Right.
get that. But they have the mesh and all. I mean, they really did something to the grounds to stop them from burrowing and making these holes.
Right,
and,
right.
And that's not over there at Holmes.
Wow.
And it makes no sense. How could you be the property manager for both developments,
Right.
and one side is getting certain things done and the other side is not? Now, there's rats on the ground throughout the city. We get that.
Sure.
But it really makes no sense.
Right.
So the property manager is one of the problems. And I think people, or I should say I believe or know, because I try to not use think too much, you need to start not just calling them out, but petition to get them out.
Absolutely.
Get somebody else there, because it's no way you could be the property manager of those 2 developments, 5 buildings,
Right.
same campus, and things are different.
Right.
Things are really different.
I mean, lack of professionalism. I could just speak to, I've been to Queensbridge often, Ravenswood, Woodside, Astoria houses, not as much, but, the lack of respect is beyond, the lack of just humanity, and it's just terrible, so I think that we have to begin flooding. Folks need to be going down there in front of those management offices and having demonstrations, rallies, whatever it may be, to really get them out, because it is inhumane, and they're paid a job. They're paid for this. This is federal dollars really going into their pocket, and it's criminal for that to be happening and for them not to do the work they're supposed to do and to treat people the way they treat
And keep
people.
their title.
Right.
Property manager.
Right.
Property manager.
Right.
Think about that.
Right.
You're managing the property.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
when you see these developments that are just going downhill, they must don't have a property manager. Because
Right.
if they do, they're not doing their job.
I mean, you see garbage. I was in Astoria not too long ago. I mean, the garbage is out, just unpicked up. I mean, so how can this?
McKinley Houses was
It's
like
just
that.
like, how is this happening? How can you just have piles of garbage, unattended for days and days and days, and you wonder why
It's a
we have a
health
rat
hazard.
problem like
There's
they
a health
were having.
hazard also, especially
Yes.
people on low floors. And when we did the walkthrough, I'm going to jump into the chat. When we did the walkthrough, the compliance unit, because Isaac Houses has terrace walkways. So on the second floor, it looks like they haven't cleaned that terrace walkway. Not the walkway, but the outside, the landing.
Right.
They hadn't clearly cleaned that landing in years.
Right.
And I can't imagine when it rains and stuff. So I brought it to the compliance unit attention. But then we have, I think she's been with us about 6 months. She's a female. She's excellent. She's a supervisor caretaker. Excellent woman. She walked up to me. She talked to me. We had a conversation. I mean, I don't know. She must know I'm a leader in the community.
Right.
She approached me, and we had a very great conversation. And I told her about the landing on the second floor.
Sure.
She said, I'm going to go up and look and check. And she said, I seen it. And then she seen me 2 days later. She said, it's been taken care of.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
And that's what it's about.
Right,
Like, people
right.
respecting your leadership. They see you in the community. They know. And I tell every NYCHA worker over there, thank you for your service. Just like
Right.
I tell a mailman, thank you for your service. Let people know that you care and you appreciate them. Because even though we have the garbage, we have this and that, you know, some of the residents is the problem.
Sure.
But there's also the property management. But let me just pause and then you could jump in. But let me go to the chat real quick. So shout out to everybody that's in. Hi, Miss Felder, Miss Carolyn, Kim as well. Kim said greetings all.
Greetings.
We have Audrey Churchill.
Hey, Audrey from Lafayette Gardens. Shout out to
She said it's white flight back to the city. They want to push everyone who cannot afford $2,500 plus
Absolutely.
a month for rent out of the way. Yeah, and the white flight is what got us where we at with the mess, because they left because they got, you know, years ago they got these low, the low interest loans,
Right.
and they were able to get homes, and they moved out of public housing. And you're right, now they want to come back into the city,
Right.
because they can afford to live here and we can't.
Right.
So right.
Absolutely.
Michael Lopez is watching. How are you?
Hey, Mike.
Okay, let me read one thing from Michael Lopez. Michael Lopez says has nothing against the Jewish culture. However, this is him. I'm just reading what he's saying. I don't want to get myself in nothing, but let me see what he's saying. Jewish culture. However, how 9 developments in Brooklyn were turned over to RAD under Jewish leadership. The majority of the tenants of these developments are not of the Jewish culture. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I had to do that little disclaimer because I didn't know what he was saying, but thank you. It was cool. Audrey Churchill says, I am in Strasburg with my family. Is that Pennsylvania?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I know a little something. Okay. Kim says, Life After Justice for All stand at Lady Survivor Inc. 5013C. I can use your community organizer. Oh, you might have a job.
Well, no. Kim's well, I'm gonna be on her board.
Okay.
She asked me. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that. However, I can help Kim any way I can.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, she mentioned something to me too. Great. Go ahead, Kim. Y'all better get that going, Lady Survivor. And tell us about it. Maybe we need to bring you on the show.
Well, yeah,
for
we
that
need to have
too.
her come on and talk about it.
And I'm
for
going to
sure.
call out Esther too, Devorah. She has the drummers in Harlem, East Harlem. She wants to come on the show eventually, so hopefully she can get us either in here or come in on Zoom. So we do virtual shows. You could either come in and be seated by Stan, or you could be on Zoom. So we have the options, you know. And go ahead, Stan.
And one thing I do want NYCHA residents to start paying attention to, I did receive some phone calls, and it appears, in terms of this RAD development conversion stuff, is that they are actually converting apartments within developments that have not been converted. You know, I've gotten a couple of calls now. So if that's happening, that's criminal, you know, because that's not how they describe the program. That's not how they rolled it out. You know, so we're dealing with some real criminal
So they're
elements.
converting the apartments.
Right, I got 2 or 3
So
calls.
you say converting.
Like, for
explain that
example,
more.
you could be living next door, you're public housing, but your neighbor is Section 8. And they're doing that more and more and more, you know, to the point where if you get more of them in there, you really sort of converted the development without going through the actual proper channels of what they say their protocol is. You know,
And
which
is it when the apartment becomes vacant? That happens too, right?
I believe that's what they're doing. This is what I'm hearing.
That could be market rate. They
Right.
could
That's
rent it at market rate.
exactly what I'm hearing. You know, I've heard it. I haven't got the confirmation. I got a phone call from somebody who lives in Astoria Houses. who knows somebody. They haven't moved in yet, but the person has Section 8, and it's not public housing. I heard this happening in Jamaica houses. I'm hearing some little rumors here, and
Or those apartments, because they did the conversion. Is it a little different inside?
This is what we got to do some investigation. We will put on our investigative hats and go find out. And we're hearing. We just got to you got to pay very close attention. So if you live in Niger, if you're seeing certain changes happening, if you're seeing maybe one building something's happening and it's not happening in other buildings, then you really got to really pay attention now. Yeah. And I guess how
say something.
Right. And how they're going to select which developments go into these to this new pilot program. Yeah. So we got to pay attention to our resident council presidents now, maybe more so than ever. To see where they stand. You need to find out where your resident council president stands on the issue of privatization. Right. And you got to let your voice be heard.
And see how they're feeding it to you.
Right, exactly.
Right, because when Greg Russ came to us, it was a secret that he was coming.
Right.
No one knew. It wasn't advertised that he was coming. Because I know if we knew he was coming, people probably would have been outside protesting him.
Right.
Lakeisha Taylor from home, she showed up, but she couldn't really be in the meeting. She was like standing by the doorway, and Brian Holden was there, and he while I'm sitting beside me, we were just laughing and acting silly together. But with that said, I believe we should have known that he was coming.
Right,
it would
absolutely.
have been a better turnout. People that are there's people that want the blueprint because it's been sold to people as that's our savior, but It's not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not. And I believe my council of development, my council president, at that time, I don't know, we had an election, so I'm not sure if it was protests went through or not. So, but anyway, she's for it.
Right.
Unfortunately. And some people think that's the savior for us. It's not.
It definitely is not.
It's not.
It's not.
And you should have, just like you have him come in to be fair, then we need the people to come in to educate the people, the masses about why you should resist it.
Right.
I think that's the way, or I believe that's the way things should be done. Not just give it in a fair way.
Right.
So people could have an option to decide.
Right.
Or at least know the ins and outs of it.
Right, because I would venture to say probably 80% of Niger residents really still don't know what it is. Right. So to have something so radical in terms of changing their whole lives and pushing it through when the large majority of the residents don't know, and then those who do know don't really want it for the most part. A great majority, there's some who do, right. But I think if you did a poll, you find a great majority of folks don't want it, and I don't think it's fair. It's incredible. They're being disenfranchised to be given something that you don't want, that affects your housing. This is where you live. This is where this is the foundation of your whole entire life. Then there's elements in there where they can demolish. People are not talking about that. I mean, in this whole blueprint scenario, there's an option to demolish the development. And so folks say, well, how can it happen? He did in Cabrini Green, so it's happened. There's been a precedent for this. And, folks really got to understand that they're really trying to end public housing. And so can you imagine that? In the city of New York, if there is no public housing, which is the last affordable housing that exists,
True.
then what do we do? So they really telling us we want you to get up out of New York now? Because that's really what they're telling you. If you can't afford to be here, you're going to have to go.
And one of the things I look at, because I'm totally against demolishing anything, but there are some buildings that are old, right? And they're built in the 39.
Right.
So I won't call them out, but some of them have been, and they're really, really bad. Like, I was in an elevator that literally 2 people could fit in, and this was a public housing elevator.
Right.
I was in a building that had staircases like a tenement. Like, really?
Sure.
So those are the lower buildings. So my whole thing is, if you can, and this is not, I'm not speaking about RAD.
Right.
But this is for sustainability of public housing. You move these residents out, like say, because think about buildings that go to 6 stories and they're old, and it's really bad. The conditions are bad. The elevator is one of those elevators that you got to push the door.
Wow.
And then the other ones you get in, and like I said, one is bigger than the other. One goes to odd, one goes to even. It's just crazy.
Wow.
So it's really old. Okay. something like that needs, you can tear that down, relocate temporarily, literally, legally relocate the residents, demolish a couple of those buildings, those low buildings, build up high, and bring everybody back.
Right.
And then they're in a newer building, and it's just going to sustain them. The infrastructure is good and it's more modernized. I could see that, but not demolishing and not bringing them back. And
Right.
by all means, I'm not for demolishing, but some of these buildings I've been in was so bad because if you have to move in there, I can't even see people on a waiting list taking apartments in this building.
Right.
But people want to live somewhere. So they want to take it.
Right.
But when you get in an elevator and only 2 people can fit,
That's all right.
that means your shopping cart barely fits in there. When you move, everybody got to carry your stuff upstairs.
Wow.
You can't fit nothing in the elevator.
Right.
And then I've been in one development. I'm not gonna call out these names of developments because I plan to do work there. I've been in one development. Their elevators were so big you could fit a Grand Piano in there.
Wow.
I was like, what am I, an freight
Right,
elevator?
right.
Super duper large.
Right. Now that's really not how it should be.
No.
And I know we talked about the Green New Deal. There's options.
Yeah.
The Green New Deal for public housing is an option which
Build
actually
more. Build more.
Build more. We need to be doing that
Repeal
too.
the
Right.
Fairport
Exactly.
Act.
We need
Yeah.
more, not less public housing.
Yeah.
And we need to fight folks now. Really at this point, we got to become the change we want to be. That's why I commend Sandrea for running for office. If you're a Knights resident and you don't like the way things are going, I'm urging everyone just to start running for office.
I commend you too. You ran a few times yourself too.
I ran.
It takes courage. City council.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Raising money.
Is challenging.
Getting
and-
people to help. Oh my
Right.
gosh, that's a whole nother thing. Because
Right.
if you're not part of no entourage or cliques or had this, but I met so many great people that now it's like they started coming out the woodworks at the end.
Right.
And they were basically like, when you come back, I'm there day one. And I'm like, great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was difficult. And then I had an accident on the bus.
Sure.
I got thrown out of
Sure.
seat on the bus.
Sure.
The driver was still driving. I'm on the ground. And I'm like, they're like, stop the bus, because they hit the brakes. And everybody went over, but I'm the only one that flew out my seat.
Right.
And I'm on the floor. And they like, stay down. And I'm like, all I'm thinking of is I'm on this filthy floor.
Right.
And they had to help me up. And I sat and I was shaking up. And then the ambulance had to take me. They did some x-rays and stuff. But I missed a night of campaigning, door knocking that evening. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I had a blast. I don't have no regrets for running. It was one development I was in, and a lot of them knew my family. And they were like, wow, I seen Coleman on the ballot, but I didn't put it together. I was
Right,
like, you
right.
know now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a blast. But yeah, I urge you all to run. I urge you to help out with people campaigns. Just whatever you could do too. Just be a part.
Right.
And start joining these community boards. Get yourself a job if you want, with government. You know what I mean? YPD to courts. I mean, DCAS. Go into the DCAS and see all these city tests. Take these tests. There's so much we can do.
Right.
So much we can do.
Right.
Because a lot of these legislators have, some of them, not a lot, but probably some of them have public housing residents actually working in their office, and the same residents living in deplorable conditions.
Right. How's that? That's insane.
Exactly.
Right, that's
You
insane.
can't make it up. You
Right.
can't make it up.
Right.
Can't make it up.
And it's so important, you know what I mean? And I guess I don't want to. Well, I got to call it out. Like when you look at an organization like DSA, who are socialists, and I was so disappointed that their slate supported the blueprint. Julia Salazar.
Yeah.
I can't understand. These are people who come into our community. Say they're for the people. And I'm pointing out DSA, but I'm pointing out all these progressives now. When I ran for office, I found the whole progressive movement to be a bit disappointing. It became more of how much money did you raise? That's off the top. Instead of saying let's get boots on the ground and knock on some doors and really bring a true progressive message. You're concerned about the viability. But if we get behind candidates, you know,
Yeah.
and knock on doors and really build it up. But you don't understand, it don't take a lot of votes. People don't vote, you know, so a small amount of votes, and you're in a city council position. You know, you're in these seats.
Primaries,
It's so it can be done. You know, it can be done, but we have to become more aware as far as voter education is concerned. We need
registration.
voter registration. One thing we're going to do at One Nighter is start going to these developments.
Coalition already do it. Holmes
Right,
Isaacs,
right,
we
right.
already
Yep,
do it.
yep,
yeah.
yep.
We do it consistently. So, but yeah, we want to do. I have it. So
Right.
I want to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, knock us and get folks to really run. First of all, vote, number one, but then run for office.
You know, one of the problems I noticed, because when I was campaigning, and even when you were campaigning, there's so many. I've heard it with people. We brought them on the show and different. Some people just don't vote. They don't believe in government anymore. And what we need to do is people. That's why we have to run. Or even if you don't want, you know, you get behind a candidate that you believe
Right.
in and help push them. But it makes a difference when you know the person, the character of the
Right.
person. You know, it's hard. Yeah, we can't trust people. I get that. But when you see somebody, you know, I don't want to use myself, but I guess I can use myself. When you see somebody that has about 2 decades of volunteerism, that means I'm doing work in the communities and beyond with no pay. With no pay. And the position I was running for was no pay.
Right, absolutely.
So sitting on a community board, it's no pay. Sitting on other boards I'm on, no pay. And that's okay. I love to serve. You know, I have a heart of serving. But when you see people that have been in the trenches, those are the people you need to get behind.
Absolutely.
Not the ones that just show up and get in the trenches. Like Stan has been in the trenches. I've been in the trenches. There's other people I could throw out that never ran that's been in the trenches. These are the people you need to get behind.
Right.
Because they have proven themselves.
Right.
And they have proven themselves that they're going to work for the people.
Right.
And that's a difference.
Right.
And some of these fly-by candidates that do get in office and do much of nothing.
Right.
You know, so look at the person. And it's not just about what they've done in their work ethics, right? In their employment. That matters. But what they did with their time.
Right. Right.
That's the big thing.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
Because
right.
as an organizer, you're sending out emails 2, 3 in the that's not on your
Right.
on your paper.
Right, that's just-
You're sending out emails 2, 3 in the morning. He's texting people and doing things as an organizer beyond his scope or beyond the hours, or making meetings with people, and this is what we all do.
Right.
You know, so and then when you're dedicating your time, because I'm just saying the difference, because I know you was a paid organizer.
Sure,
and
sure.
that's fine. There's nothing wrong with paid organizers. But look at the organizer like Stan that's done it past the scope of his, you know, his time of working. He's still like 24/7.
Right,
That's
right.
what it is. Like some people say, the resident council position is a 24/7.
Right.
I get, and that's a volunteer unless they're getting a stipend or whatever. That's a whole other thing. Teachers own, bless you, whatever, however y'all do it. But when you actually dedicating your time, you have to get behind that candidate.
Right.
That's the real
Right.
deal, Holyfield.
Right, and you gotta give money.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's $1, $2. You know, we can really do this. You know, because if you want to beat these developer guys, you know, they're gonna get all this money from the big developers. You know, so that's a guarantee. You know, but if every NYCHA person donated $1 or $2 or $3 to the candidates that they like, and knowing that you got sold out.
$5 or $10, Stan. Let's go to $10. They can do $10.
Even 10, right? $10 is a meal at
A family
McDonald's,
could
right?
chip in.
Right.
A family could donate $10. Like I had
Right.
families give me 50.
Right.
100.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Family. So if the family gives 10, that helps a
Right.
long way.
Right. And so we got to do this, man. If you look even on the federal level, when you look at what's going on with January 6th, I mean, when you
Yeah.
see what's going on in this country, you know, when you have a president, an ex-president that literally, we're not talking about figuratively, he literally tried to overthrow the government.
And
you know, in broad daylight.
they were going to hang Penn.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
And so this is a sorry state of affairs we're looking at politically. It's on every level, from the federal level on down to local level. You know, we as a folks have been sold out. 100%. So we need regular, everyday people, you know, who don't have an agenda, who are not going in there just for power. You know, because some people they just want the power.
Yeah.
The power, the prestige. They don't care nothing about helping anybody. If you're a Republican and you still support Trump at all, then you know you either crazy or you just stuck to power.
Stan said it. He
but
called it out.
You got because what
I
else?
ain't say it. Stan said it.
Well, I mean, but what else can you be?
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that followed this man, on some nonsense conspiracy theory, which was garbage, and now we're hearing that they knew it was garbage from the beginning anyway.
Right.
And so you followed him anyway because you want the power.
Yeah.
You want to stay in your seat. You want the association with this criminal corrupt.
You want these pardons.
Right, exactly. So even here on a city level, again, we need to find out all of those people who voted for the blueprint. We should every show we should focus on calling one or two of them out so you can know, because many of you probably voted for these
give
people.
out their numbers, tell people to call them, get
right.
a CTA, which is a call to action. But it's something you said that was very significant when we were talking about voting. So we see that, and I know people are not happy. Hochul.
Right, go ahead, by Hochul, sure.
She's
the governor.
Democratic nominee.
Right.
Right. She won that. Her and Antonio, Delgado, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So, okay, so she's the nominee, Democrat. I don't know if there's an independent running, because we don't know, because they're disenfranchised. We don't have open primaries. Very big problem, because it should be all three parties be able to run. And then you also have a Republican. So if this is what I'm gonna say, I don't know if there's an independent out there that people want to get behind, but I'm gonna tell you this: if you sit home, I'm not telling people who to vote for, but if you sit home and don't vote because you're mad because she's in, right? She's the nominee, and you're a Democrat. I'm just saying, if you're a Democrat, you're gonna most likely stay with your party, but then in general, you can do what you want to do. You can bubble in because it's an option for you there.
Right.
On your ballot. But if you sit home and don't vote for her, and I'm not saying to vote for her, or don't vote for that independent. If it's an independent, we need to get behind them. If we like them, we need to get behind them full throttle.
Right.
Because she has a lot of votes anyway. What's going to happen is we're going to wind up getting a Republican governor. Because if you sit home and act like how they was, the Bernie bros, and people were hurt over Bernie, if you sit home, this is going to happen. We've seen it with Trump. If you sit home during this election, this general election, and don't get strongly behind a candidate, even though you might not like them, and that's your party. And like I said, I'm not telling people what to do, but if you stay home, if a great percentage of people stay home, what's going to happen is a Republican is going to be the next governor of New York State. And you don't want that.
I mean, you really better pay attention, because look at in New York now, they're now gonna let us walk around with guns now. The whole country is moving to the right. It's outrageous. Can you imagine? We got a gun problem already. I can't imagine people walking down the streets of New York with guns out. I'm just trying to envision that, and it's beyond what I can even imagine. They took away abortion. We're going far to the right, and people understand this is what Trump did. This is all this Trumpism when they stack the decks with all these court appointees and on all levels, not just the Supreme Court, on various levels throughout government, they got their people in, and they're showing what they're about now.
And that's true. That's true. You're 100% right about that. And I'm going to read Michael Lopez post in a second. But yeah, with the Roe versus Wade, a woman should have a right to choose. But let's keep in mind, remember, the governor of a state is like the president of that state.
Right.
So certain states are still going to allow abortion.
Yes. So
some people can travel. So don't get all crazy. Don't lose it. Some people might just have to travel. There's a lot of nonprofits and groups that are going to be helping women travel and different stuff. People are going to do, help people. Just don't, if you're considering one, I'm not advocating to get one or not, but if you're considering one, make sure you get one with a reputable doctor. Don't go into none of those back in the day.
We're going backwards,
Get a hanger, go somewhere, and somebody give you abortion and you die the next day, or die in their house or in their basement. Please don't do that to yourself, ladies. I was hearing something about a 10-year-old that's pregnant, was raped, and in her state she can't get an abortion.
Wow,
and that is traumatic. And to think of abortions, is dangerous, yes. Giving birth is dangerous also, especially for people of color. You know, we have died just from how
Right,
they didn't take
sure.
care of us. And childbirth can be deadly. A lot of people don't think that, but it can be, and it's rare, but it happens. So this government or this governor is gonna allow a 10-year-old to carry a baby to carry a baby.
Unreal.
I mean, and then if it's a family member, understand this, it's going to be some Down syndrome, something's going to be wrong
Right.
with the child as well.
Right,
So
right.
then that means you're going to allow a child to come in, I don't know if it's incest, so I'm just saying, but normally when somebody's accessing a child, it's usually family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Usually family or a close friend.
Right. Right.
You know,
right.
sadly, like, with
Yeah.
Oprah, I think it was her uncle.
Right,
Was
right,
bothering
right.
her. So, but anyway, now, and they should allow this child.
I mean, it's unconscionable.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean,
10 years old.
Right.
And then she's not going to be able to, will she be able to really raise it? She's going to need help with her
Right,
parents.
right.
But 10 years old, when she's 20, the baby's 10. When she's 15,
Right.
the baby's 5. I mean, it's like, you're a mother? Like,
Right, right.
come on. She didn't deserve that.
Right.
She didn't consent to that.
Right.
So, but anyway. And you know what's next too? Probably they're gonna go against the same-sex marriages too. So.
Yeah, we're going like back to the 50s and 40s and 30s, man. We're really going backwards, and that's why there are consequences to not
Yeah.
voting. There's
Yeah.
consequences. I mean, if you
For
don't,
judges.
right? It's consequences because these people get in and nobody shows
That's why
up.
voting matters.
Yeah, and then you wonder why these changes are happening. Forget you want to read the chat.
No, I was gonna say yeah, and I accept laws and stuff like that. I have my beliefs, but I also accept laws, so I respect the laws.
Right.
I just say that. Michael Lopez says warehousing and Washington houses apartments empty for 6 months, most likely waiting for massive move in under Section 9. Section 8. Excuse me. Massive move in under Section 8.
We should follow up with Mike. That's the
Mike
story.
Lopez.
That's the story because that's really what they're doing, right?
Got my number. You want to dial in? We can put you on speaker. You want to say anything? That's interesting.
Yeah, because that needs to be exposed. You got people on the street, but you warehousing apartments in NYCHA. This is absurd. This is criminal.
When we were door knocking for myself, and when we were door knocking,
I saw a lot of. I saw some vacant. I saw quite a few.
Especially Isaac Houses has
Yeah.
a lot of vacant apartments. Yep.
So I remember the resident we had on Dolores. And they claimed they couldn't find. She had to move all the way to Trenton.
Right.
And so you mean to tell me there's not a single vacant apartment in Woodside?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Is that legal that they should be doing it? No.
No, it's
when
not.
you have a homeless, and you should bring that up at the round table too.
Yeah, I
the
will.
warehousing of apartments, because I'm sure the mayor doesn't know everything. He doesn't know everything. It's impossible to know everything.
Well,
No, it's impossible to know everything.
Right,
That's what I'm saying. So
right.
like something like that, warehousing of apartments, does he really know, or does he know the numbers? Because when you think about it, just say hypothetically,
Right.
if there's 100 warehouse apartments, that's 100 people can get out of the shelters.
Right.
Think about that.
Right.
NYCHA shouldn't be doing it. And they've been warehousing, because when I was living in homes, because I moved out of homes in 2015 into Isaacs, there was a building, I don't know where it was at in Harlem, had a crack in it. And we had an influx of people that moved into homes.
Wow.
So that means they've been doing that. And I moved out in 2015, so they've been doing that for years.
Right.
If that happened, I'm like, I'm on the elevator. I live on 24. Like, where are all these new people? All these people
Right.
moving in.
Right.
And I wasn't privy to know that that's what they were doing.
Right.
That means they've been warehousing for the longest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it took me 23 years to get my 2 bedrooms.
Right. Now that's
Till I let 100 people out of a protest for the next gen.
Right.
Infill.
Right. I'm not sure if the mayor know, but I just say, if you follow the money, then you sometimes figure out what people do.
He's into real estate, too. Into real
he's
estate.
heavily invested by the real estate industry, and these things are known, and a lot of times the policies are in the favor of these developers, and that's just how New York is being run,
Right.
we gotta organize and change that, and I think the housing organizations got to come together. I'm talking about homeless, the homeless
house,
coalitions and the NYCHA coalitions and
house,
all of us got to come because really
Affordable
affordable
housing,
housing. We got to have one thing because we all fighting the
Fix
same
the
enemy.
AMI, early
Right.
medium income, because it's very difficult to afford
Right.
to live here.
Right. And if people don't know what AMI is, if you live in
medium income, yeah.
right, if you in let's say Bed-Stuy, and the average income in Bed-Stuy, let's say is $30,000 a year, and so you wonder why they're building a building, and the affordable apartment is for somebody making $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. They're taking income out of Bed-Stuy. They're going to Westchester and here and there.
Well, it's based on Westchester.
Right. And it
Cost of
right.
their fund.
Exactly.
They earn, yeah.
And it creates a
It doesn't
situation.
fit it. It's
right.
not. It's not true.
Right. Exactly.
True. So yeah, city council. Shout out to them. They need to work on that.
Right.
They need to adjust that and make it more honest and accurate, because that's a problem. Because also when you're getting your new lease with NYCHA, I don't know about everybody's development. There's 2 big posters or like plaques on the wall with how they decide your rent.
Right.
Or, your income. And it's 2, not 1.
Right.
Why? Is it not 1?
Right.
And one of it's a little different, but I never understood that because that just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, flat rate.
Right.
Something with flat rate and something with the AMI and something up there. I forgot what I can't see it like in my head what it says, but I remember we were talking about, because everybody's rent went up this year. I know one of the seniors went up. Trying to think off the top of my head. I think theirs went up $11.
Wow.
Mine's went up like $35, $40. Rent just went up, and people are complaining, and I get it, like, because if you haven't had an increase,
Well,
I
if
guess
your income hasn't increased, right?
But I
your
think
rent-
maybe people, because Social Security for some people have increased.
Right.
Like every little dime you make, they're taking from you.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying? And yeah.
Well, a lot needs to change. We really gotta get the boots on the ground now. We really gotta step up, and come together and really, organize and vote, and put the people in power, that are gonna really represent us, and be that person yourself. Again, I want to just encourage everybody that we got to get involved in the process, and also for those NYCHA residents, take them to court. We got to break the hold or this covenant between HPD and NYCHA that still exists. So a lot of work with Just Fix and this organization or NYCHA is going to be to expose that. So if I have the opportunity to speak to the mayor, I am going to ask him. What's
Well,
up?
next week you
right?
meet with
Well,
him.
yeah.
Come stand.
So we're gonna, and we need to know.
Round table stand.
What is the deal with HPD? And why are NYCHA residents not treated as any other resident would be? Why isn't HPD not enforcing, these repairs to be done? Because if that was happening, we need the blueprint, right? If you're a NYCHA resident, you can call and say, I'm calling HPD, and they come over and the work gets done. Well, then the issues are resolved, and that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. And why it's not like that makes no sense to me. It's insane. So, Eric, that's one thing you need to fix. Is get HPD
Eric
to do
Adams,
do their job. Do their job.
Your new guy you're gonna see him. You're gonna see him. So you'll be there with Homeless Hero and them. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was with Larry. He was friends with Larry Davis back in the day.
Yeah.
I suppose, matter of fact, let him know, because I got a call on. Wanted to bring him on the show. I was considering bringing him on your Hip Hop Health and Politics, but he could come on either show.
Right.
Because I don't know when you want to get that kick started again. That's a good show too.
Right.
Happy anniversary to Juanita Cabello. Hope I said her name right. Her and her husband. I believe it's today is the anniversary.
Oh, congratulations! Happy anniversary.
One of your co-hosts.
Okay. Great.
Let me read Maria before we sign off. Maria says, I moved back with my mom back in '84 because I couldn't afford a regular apartment, and I waited 3.5 years. An apartment they showed me, I was thrilled, but I said yes, and I have been here since '88. I thought it was 30%. When we get an increase, they take almost half of the increased money of the increased SS.
Right. So the calculation are probably off, which
They're
I'm
having
hearing.
new guidelines when it comes to fixing the problem. resident council president of DeVille. Maria. Okay. Any final words before we get off? And Michael Lopez, let's talk offline, okay? You can call Stan or me.
Yeah, please. That's the
Yeah.
story we want to expose. Again, if you are a NYCHA resident and you have anyone in your building who is Section 8, let us know. Because that shouldn't be happening. We want to expose. We want this show
It is happening,
to expose.
so, yeah.
We just got to call it out, because that's criminal and that's illegal. And if we're able to point those things out, then we could turn the tide against the blueprint of ad, because they're not rolling it out nowhere near what they say that they are. They're doing it in very sneaky, corrupt, criminal ways.
Well, that takes you back to, I know I said we go off, but that takes you back to when the infill proposal was proposed at Homes in 2015. And there was 40 other developments that were slated for infill, but NYCHA would not expose or give us that list because, people would have got over there and helped organize the residents to fight.
Right.
Well, like I said, with us at the Homesizer Coalition, we fought. We weren't a coalition then. It was just a group of residents and concerned residents. And, they thought by moving me out of Homes into Isaacs after I waited 23 years for a 2-bedroom that I was going to stop fighting, and I stayed in the fight. That was the first
Right.
time I made my picture and everything was in the paper. That was funny. But they thought they were going to, get over. That wasn't happening. But just stay in the fight. But they didn't expose it. So that's one of the things, because we asked, I believe we had a city council meeting. City council came at in Isaacs. We had a
Right.
meeting. The clock and everything was there. And we testified and stuff. And the former chair was there. Female, her name, I told her.
Yeah,
I messed up her name.
whatever.
But
Criminal, but yeah.
but we asked at that meeting, and they wouldn't let us know the other 40 developments that was slated. I don't know what happened, like what developments it did happen at infill, but it didn't happen at Homes. So
Yeah, congratulations.
stopped it.
Right.
Stopped it. It took 4 years. That's why I want to tell people, continue in the fight. Whatever you feel that is not right, fight, 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 fight. Don't give up. Align with people. There are so many people in the city that will come and support you. Even if you're a lone wolf fighter.
Right.
You are not alone. Stan will be there. I'll be there. I'm going to be helping Vanessa with some help. We'll talk offline.
Okay.
With her issue, her rad conversion. But I'm going to help her with some things. But yeah, so we're here to help. But go ahead, Stan. You say something and then we'll close down.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for listening to the show. We're back. I'm excited about the future of One NYCHA. I'm excited we're going to have meetings. I know we spoke to the management at Ravenswood, so we will be having a meeting there in September. And I'm just excited about where this platform is going to grow and really become something that these politicians have to deal with, because they watch the show, but the bigger we make this platform, the bigger the voice becomes, the more power not Stan and Sandrea have, but the more power NYCHA residents have, to get their views and get their opinions and their thoughts out, because the media is not covering NYCHA. The elected officials is not checking for NYCHA. No one's really checking for NYCHA.
Only when they're running for office.
That's
then
it. They come, they get their little
out
vote,
with
and
their
then they're
signatures and
gone.
votes,
So we got to
On
check for
return.
ourselves. We got to really
return.
step up our fight.
Yep. Amen to that. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a minute. We're back. Season 5 just was kicked off. Mike left. He had to leave early, so he didn't get on camera, but he did peek over Stan's shoulder. Sam Morris, Sandra I. Coleman,
Big shout out to Rock. Rock Logic.
co-founders,
Yes.
co-host Mike Jones, Money Mike. Like I said, he peeked in. Just happy to be back. We had a little hiatus. We're back full throttle. Look out in the future for One NYCHA organizing.
Absolutely.
Stan and I will be doing that work. You'll probably see Stan a lot more than me, but we'll be doing it. We'll be doing it. You'll see him a lot more. We're going to push him out there. Get him out there because he's not with Justice for All
right.
Coalition anymore. But and then he has a lot of work because he's on boards and he's doing this and he's doing that. So we'll have Vanessa on next week. So just change the date on the flyer. We'll put that back out. Once again, she had a family emergency. So, but everything is okay.
Thank God for
To my
that.
understanding. She did call and she apologized, and I'm like, no, family comes first,
Absolutely,
always.
100%.
But once again, we do this show You could come in physically, like I said in the beginning. You could sit by stand, and or you could be on Zoom and be virtual. So whatever's comfortable. So we could be reached at ONE NYCHA, NYCHA@gmail.com. We're also on IG, Instagram. We're on Facebook, which you see now, and we're on Twitter. You can DM us if you have a story. We're different from mainstream media. Yeah, mainstream media is big, but they give you a very condensed piece on their show.
Right.
2 minutes, if that, 1 minute. Here, you come and sit down. You got about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And show
To
us
tell your
about
story.
you.
Yep.
So this is why we want you all to come on, whether it's public housing, private housing. You know, we want to talk about issues, and we love to bring the political aspect in it.
Sure.
Because we want people to understand that government can work for you, and we want people to get politically engaged because that is very important. So one night to one people, we about to lift
One
off.
night to one people. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right.
All right, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. Happy. Well, I ain't gonna say 4th of July later for that.
Yeah, enjoy,
nonsense.
be safe.
Yeah, be safe. That's it.
Be safe. I'll put Frederick Douglass' poem in. I mean, his speech, excuse me, speech in. One night to one people. Yeah.